The ballroom glittered like a dream borrowed from another world, crystal chandeliers spilling warm light over silk gowns, polished shoes, and faces trained to smile for cameras, donations, and deals, yet none of that shimmer belonged to Mark Hale, the single dad janitor who stood quietly near the wall with a mop cart tucked behind a marble pillar. His hands rough from years of honest work and his heart heavier than anyone in that room could imagine, because tonight he wasn't just cleaning floors, he was keeping a promise. The gala was for the city's most powerful CEO, Evelyn Carter, a woman known for turning struggling companies into empires, and for her daughter Lily, whose accident 2 years earlier had left her paralyzed from the waist down, a tragedy the media had devoured before moving on, while Evelyn never did, carrying the weight of guilt and fear behind her perfectly tailored smile, and Lily sat in her wheelchair near the center of the room, dressed beautifully but looking distant, as if the music floated past her instead of through her, and Mark noticed that look because he had seen it before in the mirror and in his own daughter's eyes after her mother died, that hollow space where joy used to live. As the orchestra began a slow, graceful waltz, couples moved to the floor, laughter and applause filling the air, but Lily remained still, watching, her hands folded tightly in her lap, and something in Mark's chest tightened because he remembered another dance, years ago, in a hospital hallway where his wife, weak and pale, had swayed with him to the hum of machines, whispering through tears, "Promise me you'll never let our daughter believe she's less because of pain," and that promise had shaped every hard choice he'd made since, every late night, every extra shift, every quiet act of kindness no one noticed. Mark hesitated, knowing his place, knowing how a janitor stepping into the spotlight of the elite could be seen as disrespect or worse. But when Lily's eyes flicked up and met his, wide, curious, and aching, he felt the same certainty he'd felt in that hospital hallway, and before fear could stop him, he stepped forward, his boots echoing softly on the polished floor, murmurs rippling through the crowd as heads turned, security stiffening, Evelyn's gaze sharpening with confusion and concern, and Mark stopped a respectful distance from Lily, lowered himself slightly so they were eye level, and spoke gently, "Miss, would you like to dance?" A hush fell, the question hanging in the air like a challenge to every assumption in the room, and Lily blinked, stunned, then glanced back at her mother, whose face tightened with protective instinct and disbelief, ready to intervene, but Lily's voice, small and trembling, answered first, I can't," and Mark smiled softly, not pitying, not forcing, just understanding, and said, "I know, but sometimes dancing isn't about standing, it's about feeling the music," and he explained how he used to dance with his wife when she was too sick to move much, how they'd sway in place, how he'd count the beat southwest she could close her eyes and imagine flying, and as he spoke, Lily's shoulders relaxed, her breathing slowing, and Evelyn felt something crack inside her because she realized this stranger saw her daughter not as fragile glass but as a whole person. After a long moment, Lily nodded, barely, and Mark gently placed one hand near the wheelchair, the other offered but not touching until she agreed, and together they moved, not across the floor, but within the space they occupied, Mark guiding the rhythm with subtle steps, Lily lifting her arms, tilting her head, letting the music wash over her, and the room, once buzzing with judgment, fell silent, then slowly, almost reverently, applause began, not loud, not performative, but full of emotion, and Evelyn covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks, because she finally understood the real reason Mark had asked her daughter to dance wasn't bravery or attention or charity, but remembrance. He was honoring a promise made to a dying wife, passing on a lesson that dignity doesn't disappear when the body fails, that joy can exist even in limitation, and when the music ended, Lily was smiling through tears, a smile Evelyn hadn't seen since before the accident, and Mark stepped back immediately, bowing his head respectfully, already preparing to return to his mop cart, but Evelyn stopped him, her voice breaking as she asked why he worked there, why he had done this, and Mark answered simply, "Because someone once danced with me when I thought life was over, and that night changed everything, not because a janitor danced with a CEO's daughter, but because a broken heart recognized another and chose kindness over fear." And if this story moved you, if you believe small acts can change lives in ways money never can, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because these are the stories that remind us who we are and who we can still become.